Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, home values are decreasing across the country as home sellers outnumber buyers by record amounts. Also tonight, an education initiative in Tempe looks to build a pipeline of students from pre-K to college and beyond. And a new book celebrates the history of dude ranching. Those stories and more next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your public television station.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. Home values in the Phoenix metro area and across the country have decreased in value over the past year. This as home sellers in the U.S. outnumber home buyers by record amounts. To learn more, we welcome Mark Stapp. He's the Executive Director of ASU's Masters of Real Estate Development. Mark, good to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
Always a pleasure, Ted.
All right, Zillow's out with these numbers. And Zillow's, according to Zillow here, 87% of homes in Phoenix lost their value last year. Does that make sense to you?
No. And so I read the report, and I'm having a little trouble dissecting why that seems to be the amount. And here's why it makes little sense to me. If you look at home prices over just the past year, right? So I think there's at 87%. Homes that have been purchased over the last 5 years, I think is what the time period was. But we haven't had a decrease in the price of a sale of a home, right? So average or median sales price of homes, we just haven't had those losses, right? So they continue to go up. So look at the average sales price from November last year to November this year. It's up about 2.7%. And I think some of this has to do with the fact that buyers have been used to more rapidly increasing price in homes. And they can't get those prices. And when you look at listings and the difference between a listing price on average and the sales price on average, it's really big.
And the lag there that you're talking about as far as, how long these homes are on the market. Because again, Zillow's saying nationwide, and again, they're saying over the past year, over half of U.S. homes have lost their value, and particularly so here in the West.
Yeah, I don't see that here. And I think anybody who's in this housing market sees that it's softened greatly. It's not that it hasn't softened, it has. But I don't see them losing value. I see a lot of what's happening is the inability to get the value that people want. And so you see listings being pulled off the marketplace, things of that nature. But I don't see us losing value. We don't have any of the underlying economics that would support that. So you said days on market.
Yes.
Yeah, it's up at like 84 days or something like that on average. Well, it's not horrible. Our inventory is about 4.6 months of inventory. Well, that is up a tiny bit, but it's not up a lot. So it's not like there's an oversupply, and we continue to have sufficient amount of demand because of our growth.
And yet, again, the same survey says that home values are up 67% since the property last sold.
Yeah.
But you're looking at this property being last sold a long time ago because people aren't selling like they used to, correct?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. The housing market, when you look at the country, and even you look at Phoenix, right? It's hard to make categorical statements about what's going on because there are so many factors that affect markets and submarkets, right? So areas within metropolitan Phoenix may be functioning slightly different than other areas. And so it's hard to make these blanket statements, which is one of the reasons why these kind of articles that come out and they go, home prices, it makes people believe that the market is crashing. And that's patently untrue.
Well, not crashing, but as you mentioned, softening.
It's very much softened.
Yeah, we got that going there. Does it also reflect the price surges that we saw maybe 4 or 5, 6
Absolutely.
years ago? I mean, when you get up that high, if you drop down even the littlest bit,
That's right. So what happens is people buy at the peak.
Yes.
Right? And things start to soften. But as I said, even over the last year, that average sales price has gone up 2.7%. So that's a small increase, but it is not a decrease. And when you look historically back over the last 5 years of Metro Phoenix, you see the same pace. It was more rapidly growing, however, leading up to the last year, year and a half.
It sounds like, according to this latest report, falling prices we're seeing in Apache Junction, we're seeing in Wickenburg, North Scottsdale, Central Mesa, South Central Phoenix, and yet we're seeing increasing prices in Central and North Phoenix. What is that telling you?
So, you know, I think when you look at the lower end of the marketplace, and you see this when you look at the difference between the average and the median, the difference between the average sales price and the median sales price is very big. And the reason for that is the market is skewed to the high end. And so what I think is happening as you look at some of those markets you just mentioned, and some of them may not be the highest end. I don't know where these are specifically.
Right.
But when you look at the lower end of the market, 450,000 below, around there, it's been fairly consistent. When you look at the high end, it jumped up way high, and they continue to push prices up. And that has softened a whole bunch. 707,000 average new listing, okay? And then it drops down substantially to an average sales price, which is considerably below that. And so you see this bid-ask difference. And so people are asking these things, they're not getting them.
Yeah, yeah. With that in mind, last question here. What do we watch for? What is someone who is, I don't know, thinking of buying a home, thinking of selling their home, or thinking about doing either or? What do they watch for?
Well, first of all, you have to decide whether you want to sell, right, and what you're going to do, because finding the replacement property, although there's more buyers than there are sellers, the inventory is still very tight, and it's not a wide variety of inventory. So you've got to recognize the fact that you may be trading dollars, because what you sell your house for, you may have to be paying same. You may not be able to get the amenities you want. So I think you have to be really thoughtful, and that's one of the reasons that the market is tightened. Is people aren't finding what they want. They're deciding to age in place more often. It's cheaper for them to stay in their home. And so I think what you've got to be looking for is reality. Are you able to actually achieve what you're hoping to achieve by selling your home and moving?
Yeah, and reality as to when to make that decision, either now or in the future.
Yes. You don't have cheap mortgage money anymore.
Yeah.
And so if you, over the last several years, if you had achieved a mortgage that was much lower in interest rate, do you want to get rid of it?
Right, right. Mark Stapp, ASU economist, our real estate go-to guy. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Always my pleasure.
This is Canada, where dramatic landscapes are home to equally dramatic survival stories. For the creatures here, timing is everything. And the secret to success in this wild north.
Wednesday night at 7 on Arizona PBS.
In Ice Age, New Mexico, traces of humans.
All these are fossil footprints.
But from when?
10,000 years older than the established thought.
Here's our proof, footprints of our ancestors.
Ice Age Footprints on Nova.
Wednesday night at 8 on Arizona PBS.
So happy you're home, darling. We're doing a brand new musical.
Fabulous.
Charlie's gonna help with the show. It'll be fun.
How am I meant to work under these conditions? Now, boom!
There's a way things are done here.
This is musical theatre.
I scream into the void.
For what it's worth, you've really got something.
Shocking, but keep going.
Sunday night at 9:30 on Arizona PBS.
Tempe school districts are working with ASU and the city of Tempe on a new initiative called Thrive in Tempe. The program's goal is to better connect families with school and city resources to help build a pipeline of students from pre-K to PhDs. Joining us now is Tempe Mayor Corey Woods and Tempe Union High School District Superintendent Dr. Stacia Wilson. Good to have you both here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you,
Mayor, I'm going to start with you here. Sure. Thrive in Tempe. What exactly are we talking about?
So the fact is, everyone coming together to recognize that education is a critical priority in the city of Tempe, just like it is across the valley. I tell people the story all the time. My mother was a 30-year high school teacher in New York City public schools. And when we first moved to New York, she basically told the realtor two things that she wanted in her neighborhood. One, the city had to be maintaining the parks. And number two, what was the quality of the education system? Because if either of those things wasn't functioning, she would tell the realtor to drive to the next town.
Yeah.
Now, when I was 7 or 8 years old, I didn't understand what she was talking about, but as a 47-year-old man, I know exactly what she was talking about. It's critically important for us to have a high-quality, thriving educational system in the city of Tempe, and I'm glad that the city, ASU, and our school districts have come together, and we're all on the same page with recognizing how big of a priority this is.
Let's talk about the school district and the school system here, connecting families with schools and programs and resources and these sorts of things in order to thrive in Tempe. How's it work? How do you get along? How does the process work?
Well, it's been amazing. We come together quarterly in a school, different 4 quarters. We come together quarterly and we talk about different instructional models that we're looking at. We look at different staffing things, innovative ways to have learning happening in classrooms, and just looking at resources and how we can best support our students and families, and really just providing a seamless pathway for students pre-K through 12 in their education so they're prepared for whatever post-secondary experience they're looking for.
What kind of information is collected and how is it shared?
Well, it's important folks coming together by areas, so you have folks that are experts in learning and instruction, and sometimes it's looking at some of the different programs and resources that are happening in the K-8 system and how that feeds into the programs in the high school and helps prepare them for that, and then as they go into the university system. So you're looking at that. You're also looking at different staffing needs for programs. And then really with Thrive in Tempe, we're looking to get this message out. Tempe has had a long history of having a standard of excellence in its schools and a huge commitment by the city to support that and nurture that. And so we have been a choice for our families within the city of Tempe, but then we know that the landscape has changed and we'd like others to choose Tempe Elementary, Kyrene Elementary, and Tempe Union High School District.
Mayor, we've heard about the school systems and the interest there and the contributions there. I know business can be involved here as well, but the city of Tempe, that's you. Yeah. The involvement, what you need to see, what you want to see and what you need to see out of this.
Well, the biggest thing is we want to make sure that we're getting the outcomes that we want, but quite candidly, I love this program because as someone who doesn't have any direct sort of say over our school districts. They obviously have superintendents and they have duly elected governing board members. It really is critically important for us to be able to work together to make sure that we can provide a thriving economy in the city. And I can tell you right now, whenever I'm talking to businesses that are either talking about expanding their existing operations and hiring more people, or businesses that want to locate in the city of Tempe, the first thing they ask me about is, what's the quality of the educational system? And for those that have already made the decision to locate here, they many times tell me the reason why they did was because of the quality of the educational system. So it is critical. It's a critical priority, if not the #1 thing we all have to collectively focus on.
With that in mind, businesses that are already in Tempe, what are you hearing from them? How do they contribute to this initiative?
They are already very much bought into what we're doing in the city. And what I would ask them to do is to get a hold of any of the partners that are involved in this, whether it's the city of Tempe or the Tempe Union High School District, Arizona State University, or other partners. I would ask them if they would like to contribute to this in some kind of meaningful way. There are lots of partners that are going to lead with outstretched arms and ask them to contribute in whatever way they feel that they can do best.
And can you talk about connecting students to teachers, students to schools, administrators, and parents and families to these people? I mean, it sounds to me like the idea is to connect, correct?
It truly is. We want to partner with families. And so there is the effort by school leaders and teachers to really build those relationships, connect with families, help them realize their full potential and grow and thrive in Tempe. So we encourage everyone to go to our Thrive in Tempe website to check us out, as this is enrollment season.
Right.
And they're looking for schools.
And it's kind of similar to what I asked the mayor here. What do you look for as far as knowing that this is working? Is there a way to measure? Is there accountability here? What are you looking for?
Well, I think there are things where you can look at quantitative piece, but I think part of it is the feedback we get from our families and the amazing alumni who we produce, who go in and in many cases come back and want to live in Tempe and build families in Tempe and work in Tempe.
Are those the kind of metrics that you have to deal with? Just basically look at all the success, there you go?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm in the kind of job where if something's not going well, people will most certainly let me know about it. And so many times, we do have the quantitative data to prove that these programs are being successful. But at the same time, it's a lot of what I hear just on a day-to-day basis, walking down the street in downtown Tempe or going to a neighborhood event or an Arts in the Parks event. We hear from our residents what they feel is working and what they feel isn't. But one thing we can tell people is working very well and exceptionally well is, frankly, our educational system, all the way from pre-K through college.
All right, Mayor Corey Woods and Stacey Wilson, Tempe Union High School District President. It's good to have you both here. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Jeff Bennett. Tonight on the NewsHour, the Supreme Court considers loosening restrictions on campaign donations. That's at 6 on Arizona PBS.
A new book celebrates the long history of dude ranching and the 100-year anniversary of the Dude Ranchers Association. The book is titled 100 Years of Dude Ranching, and it's a photo-driven coffee table book celebrating all things dude ranching. And joining us now is Russell True. He's chairman of the Dude Ranchers Association, the Dude Ranch Foundation. You're just all over dude ranching. Thanks for joining us.
Well, thanks. Thanks for having us.
Let's get started. What is a dude ranch?
Well, that's a lot of people have different definitions. Mine's simply a place that brings guests onto a ranch, and that can run the gamut from pretty basic eat, sleep, ride horses to pretty resort-like places.
I was going to ask, what do dudes do on a dude ranch?
Well, it just kind of depends on that specific ranch. You know, some of them are cattle ranches that embrace tourists who come in and do the cattle ranch work with them, build the fence, fix the waters, chase cows. and others have tennis and spas and cuisine. And,
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Some
quite a
are
ranch.
five-star places.
For working ranches that also are dude ranches, do the dudes ever get in the way? Do you ever kind of want to shush them and get at? We got business to do here.
Well, we don't operate a ranch like that, but yeah, everybody is going to. Some are the best help ever, and others are getting in their own way.
All right. How long has dude ranching been around?
Well, I mean, dude ranching has probably been around. History says Eaton's Ranch was the first. It was called Custer Trail in the Dakota Territory, and the first signed guest was 1892. And then, turn of the century, it really exploded as, we call it an industry, but it's a micro segment of an industry. And they really took off. And so Dude Ranch Association was formed in 1926 to try and sort of promote and manage this growing hospitality segment.
And thus 100 years, and thus the book celebrating 100 years
Absolutely.
of the association. Was it a lot of just a bunch of Eastern folks just wanting to get out and be a cowboy for a week? Is that what was going on?
Meaning
here?
the guests?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Early on, you had to come by train.
Yeah.
And then you had to take a stage or a horse or a wagon out to the ranch. And so they weren't 1 week or weekend trips. These were, they came for the summer or the season or a good share of the season. Circle Z, they had private rail cars parked in Patagonia, and they'd stay for the. So I mean, dude ranching was for the elite, the
Yes.
people who had the time and the money and the thought process to take this great adventure.
And the Dude Ranch, the governing body here that we're celebrating 100 years for,
Right.
that had to happen because the thing was exploding, wasn't it?
Yes, in that era, it was exploding.
Yeah, and how did that change things?
Well, I think it changed the West, and people. We're such a tiny little business, but we were the first destination vacation in the West, and here we're coming. All the families we know the names of, right? The Roosevelts, the Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts. They were all coming out, sending their kids, bringing their families, and some of them stuck. And they ended up changing the West.
Isn't that interesting? In Arizona, how many dude ranches do we have now? And has it changed over the years?
Yeah, there's, in Frank Blaine Norris's master's thesis, there were 338 in Arizona that he identified.
Wow.
We're down to 14, 15.
Wow, what happened?
Well, lots of things, but, Tucson had 127. It was the dude ranch capital of the world. In that case, Tucson just exploded and then, just ran over them.
Yeah.
Phoenix didn't have any that made it to the 80s. So a lot of it was urban growth, and it's a tough business model. And so, and now we have these rising real estate values in the the rural West, and some of them just get bought.
Yeah, so there's still a threat out there for dude ranches, isn't there?
That's probably, in my view, the biggest threat today.
Yeah.
Just the values.
Now, as far as the book is concerned, again, 100 years of the association, but it celebrates all things, as I said, dude ranching.
Right.
What do you want folks to take from this book? I mean, what is it? Just a look back? Is it a way to look forward? I mean, what do you got here?
Well, I mean, I'm a history guy.
Yeah.
So my business partner, Jay Wells, I had done a couple little Dude Ranch history books, and he said, dude ranching's bigger than those books. We need a better book. So this was really his vision, and to take the historic photos from the 26 ranches that were operating in 1926 or before and are operating today. And there's 26 of them. And so we have historic photos, and then Jay recruited Scott Baxter, noted Arizona photographer, who put together the modern photography to sort of compare with the old.
Yeah, and I noticed our friend Bob Bosbell did the forward there.
Yeah.
Nicely done by Bob.
Yeah, he was the perfect guy.
And great, I mean, the photos are just fantastic here. This is Lynn Downey took these. She wrote the history, correct?
Scott
yes.
Baxter, the 100 Years, 100 Ranches photographer. He did the photography, traveled to all these ranches. And then Lynn Downey is the foremost expert on dude ranch history, and she wrote the copy for the book.
Yeah. Do you think it's more difficult to get that history because folks back in the day we're losing some of those folks? I mean, that first-person knowledge of the way dude ranching was in the past.
Yeah, it's scary. We just lost one today, and I'm starting to be an old timer, and I don't relish the name, but you know, a lot of people that came before us who were great ranchers are, yeah, it's the evolution.
You know, we do a lot of public policy on this program. So if you were to want something as far as public policy is concerned, to keep dude ranching alive, to perhaps even promote dude ranching and to have it expand, maybe not the way it once was, but at least more than it is now, what do you want to see? What would you want done?
Well, I think, you know, property taxes can be an issue for dude ranches. They don't get the ag status the same. There's been some efforts, but it's not quite there. And the state tourism, AOT, they know about us and they work real hard. And if the state supported AOT more, they would help us more.
Yeah, yeah. Well, congratulations on the book. And congratulations on a great ranching career.
Oh, thank you.
And yeah, it's good to have you up here. Russell True, again, the Dude Ranch Foundation Chair. And the book is beautiful. It's an absolute, it's a coffee table book and a half, I tell you. It's really something. Thank you so much for sharing. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And that is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Because kids will always be more curious, Arizona PBS delivers programs that serve as a trusted guide for little explorers. Thanks to you and
Arizona State University, creating a world of opportunity, sustainability, and possibilities for people and communities everywhere. Advancing technology for good, transforming global education, building the future of health, empowering community resilience, reshaping our relationship with the planet, inspiring tomorrow's game changers, changing futures from Arizona for the world. Learn more at asuchangingfutures.org.
Coming up tonight at 7, at 8, at 9.
Do you own an IRA or other qualified retirement plan? Are you looking for